music, Richard. It had me sort of...
Yeah, what do you think of it? What do you think of our new business music?
I like it. I like it.
It's pretty funky.
It is. All right, 680's business news editor Richard Southern joins us now. Happy Monday, Richard.
Happy Monday, Cynthia. How you doing?
I'm very good. How about you?
Pretty good.
All right, landmark deal in the Canadian marijuana sector today. And this is interesting. It combines cannabis with Corona.
It sure does. It's really interesting. Constellation Brands, the third largest U.S. beer maker, the company that makes Corona beer, is taking a nearly 10% stake in Canopy Growth. This is Canada's largest medical marijuana producer. And of course, this is one of the companies that will be supplying the recreational market next summer. So it's a deal that lends major credibility to the Canadian marijuana sector. It could also open the floodgates to other major investment. Big tobacco rumored to be the next to come along. So of course, it begs the question, are we going to see pot beer and pot wine on the way? Probably not, Cynthia. As you know, the province of Ontario didn't even want to sell marijuana in the LCBO close to alcohol, let alone combine the two products. What you'll probably see is Constellation come out with a non-alcoholic marijuana-infused beverage. So big deal here. Very interesting one. Canopy Growth stock up a whopping 19% on the news today.
Interesting, and it kind of makes sense that these companies will want to expand into these other areas.
Sure does. And like we say, big tobacco will probably come along next because people are smoking less cigarettes, but here's a brand new marijuana industry for them to get into.
Exactly, a raison d'etre. So meanwhile, the TSX was smoking hot again today, crossing a major milestone. This is a big one.
It sure is. The 16,000 point mark. The TSX closing above that for the first time. Fresh record. TSX is up 4 3/4% on the year. The price of oil really helped today as it closed in an 8-month high above $54. By the way, the price of gas not expected to change here in Toronto tonight. Bay Street back in business after a rough start to the year. It's up about 7% from the September lows. But Cynthia, we saw losses on Wall Street today, and the analysts were chalking that up to all the drama in Washington. The indictment of Paul Manafort pulling the Dow down more than 80 points today.
Interesting to watch that and the political ramifications having the impact on the stock market. And do you think that dip will last long, or will it rebound quickly?
If history this year shows us anything, it's that it won't. The markets have surged to record highs repeatedly on Wall Street. Traders have really not paid much attention to the drama in Washington. But who knows, now that there are charges, maybe we'll see Wall Street pay a bit more attention.
Perhaps. Okay, so let's turn to the man who was in charge of Sears Canada when it filed for creditor protection in June. He's speaking out, giving his explanation, and this must be one of the most reviled men in business in this moment.
Yeah, because, you know, he was in charge when basically they went under, and then you got to remember all the laid-off employees, all the former retirees. They've been left out in the cold, Cynthia, missing out on their severance payments.
While executives are getting big bonuses.
Oh, they're getting millions of dollars in bonuses, yes. Sears former executive chairman Brandon Strenzel says his plan to buy the retailer was well-reasoned, but he says the creditor protection process was biased towards liquidation, and he says to the former employees, he says he's sorry. Take a look.
There is nothing good to say to anybody who loses a job out of a circumstance like this. The only thing to really say is, you know, I really feel your pain, and I'm very sorry that this is hard for you. Is there anything I can do to help you? And I've said that to a lot of people. And have reached out to numerous people in the past few weeks to try and help them move on and find new opportunities.
Probably little consolation, Cynthia, to the many who have worked.
I don't think that's going to make anyone happy.
No. I mean, there's employees that worked there, you know, 35 years, and now they're not getting any severance at this point. So he can say sorry all he wants, but tough situation for Sears employees, and we're going to continue to follow this story. It's
quite shocking. Do you think the rules in Canada need to change so that that doesn't happen to people, that there are greater protections for them? We've
heard the federal government talk about this. There's no bill, I don't believe, in front of the House of Commons at this point, but the federal government talking about creating one whereby pensions would be guaranteed.
Okay. And let's turn to driving. And this seems so futuristic, but it may surprise some to know that self-driving cars are already on Toronto streets.
Yeah.
And Richard, you've come across one from a notable company.
Yeah, this was on Friday. I was walking Bloor and Church, and I saw this at the stoplight. This is an Uber autonomous vehicle. You can see the little camera whizzing on the top, looking for any obstacles. Uber tells me that it's continuing to test autonomous cars on Toronto streets, something it began back in August. Uber vehicles are conducting mapping efforts as well. They may engage in autonomous mode, but there's always a human behind the wheel, and they're not actually ferrying any one of these cars. Again, just a test vehicle. Interesting, though, that they're already on the streets, and you got to think that, you know, down the road, Cynthia, there won't be any Uber drivers around. It'll just be a car driving itself, driving you and I.
So imagine the first time you actually get in as a passenger and there's nobody behind the wheel.
It's going to take some trust, that's for sure.
Yes, it'll be a little nerve-wracking at first, I'm sure. Okay, let's turn to global butter prices. They're surging. First of all, why? And it's bad news in France. What's up?
Well, they're running short on croissants in France.
Oh, no.
Say it ain't so, yeah. they're short on butter, so they can't make their croissants and their other baked goods. Butter prices...
That's disastrous, Richard.
Oh, it's completely disastrous. The country will grind to a halt, Cynthia. Global butter prices have almost tripled just within the last year on high demand. Many see butter now as a healthier option compared to margarine. As well, rising demand for European-style pastries in China is increasing demand for butter. French retailers refuse to increase their butter prices amid a bit of a price war there. So the dairy producers are looking to sell their butter for higher prices elsewhere, which is why they're running short in France and running short on those delicious croissants.
Aha, very interesting. Well, good to know. Thank you very much, Richard. Always awesome to talk to you.
Thank you.